Hey, don't mind me, I'm just walking around in the middle of the desert with a crate full of Insta360 accessories. We were here answering a question from Vinny. What about talking about the accessories? I never know what I should be including in the package buys, what's necessary and what isn't. Tons of crap in here to test out, so let's get started. Wait, hold on, they're sponsoring us, so you have to say that on camera with the microphone. What were you saying just now about how you like Insta360?
I really like Insta360. I like their cameras, and I think that if I was gonna buy one for myself, I would buy that one.
The X3?
Yeah.
That's a good choice, X3. There you go, link in description. Thank you, Insta360, for sponsoring this episode. Yeah, see? When you say good things about Insta360, you have to make sure we're recording with a microphone. Carrie's just like nonchalantly like, I really like their cameras. No mic, no nothing. New firmware update on this gives it 100 frames per second in 3K. Or you could look back at you throwing it at the camera. That's cool. Yeah, most of this stuff is like how to attach different things. I've never heard of this one, monkey tail mount. What would you do with this? Like just hang it off of different things? I guess you could kind of almost use it as like a stand. But on the box it shows Insta360 Go 2 on here, so I wonder if it's designed for something lighter weight. This X3 is slightly heavier than the previous generation X2, but not by much, and the trade-off is you get a better sensor, 1/2 inch on both sides, much bigger screen. It seems like it's fine right here. Interesting. Ah, yes, the extended selfie stick. Look at that. And it gives you the length in centimeters right here. Can you guys see how long this is? I can almost touch that sunflower man right there. So this is one I've been looking forward to, the dive case for the X3. It is waterproof just like this. So I could throw it in the pool and it's gonna be fine, I think. As long as I had all the latches and everything covered, I should have checked that before I did that. It is important to keep in mind that not all Insta360s are waterproof. For example, the 1-inch is not. Anyways, even though the X3 is submergible, as soon as you go underwater, the footage doesn't look good anymore. It's this curved lens makes it so that everything is blurry after the diffraction with the water and all that stuff. Kind of learned that the hard way because I thought, oh, since it's waterproof, I should be able to just go into a single lens mode, which is basically just an action camera. I took that, tried to get footage underwater, everything came out blurry. So this dive case isn't necessarily just to go deep underwater. I mean, this gives you 164 feet or 50 meters, but if you want usable footage from underwater, dive case necessity. There is a dive screen mode that I'm going to activate. That's going to be useful because we lose access to our touchscreen, so that makes it so we can switch between our modes and all that with just the buttons. I want to check the buoyancy of this while it's in fresh water, so it does sink to the bottom. If you're trying to keep it at the surface, definitely would recommend floaty handle like this. So we put it together and we were getting some fog, but they include a bunch of these anti-fog stuff. You always want the inside to stay nice and dry, so that just slips in right there. And just slide this in now. Let's try some 4K 60 out of this. This kind of reminds me of that Nirvana album cover. That's a cool angle, actually. I'm into that.
Yeah. Good job.
Check it out. No haze. This thing actually worked pretty good. Definitely see a lot of the case in the stitch line. Whoa, that's a big ass bead. So you can definitely see part of the case in the stitch line right here, and this is stitched for the dive case right here, which it automatically knew because I did put it in dive case mode. But you could also stitch for dive case above water, so when I get out of water you could still definitely see the case right there, but outside of it the stitch looks pretty decent. So if you have this dive case on, if you're over or underwater, you're gonna want the stitching algorithm to be a bit different. That's the beauty of 360 cameras though. You don't have to really worry about framing. You just have to take the stick and throw it underwater and then you can frame up later. These are some pretty good shots that are very effortless. So dive case, very important if you want to film underwater. On to the fun stuff. Super 73, Dirt e-bike. I think this is like a rebranded Suron. Ready to get wild? This might be one of the best accessories because you have a 1/4 inch on one side and just a clamp on the other, because usually you can find at least something to clamp onto, and from here you can adjust the angle of the stick itself. If you're driving on like a bumpy road, this is eventually going to constantly wear down on that and then eventually slip and do like the dip of death. So of course we can just really crank this thing down, but if I have the option to, I always look for a vertical pillar that I can mount to. So now I could have this out here and this bouncy weight isn't going to eventually loosen this part up right right here. And it can loosen up here at this joint, but this one's the one that came with the Insta360 motorcycle mount. You can actually see that there's some texture on here that helps it give it a little bit of extra grip. It's kind of like a little golf ball, and same with the inside of this too. Here's another example of mounting with this. Most people I think would just clamp onto here, but in my experiences, you attach it to something vertical like this, and you're gonna have one less thing that can go wrong. Let's try this one out. This is called a motorcycle U-bolt mount, and this actually looks a lot like the other clamp we were just using. Carrie's over there saying like, you should just read the instructions for putting this together. Ha! Like I need instructions. Okay, the spring is only supposed to be on one side. I might as well be working at the factory now. Like I feel like I'm an expert with this. The rubber pads just go on here. Comes with 2 different sizes too, depending on what you're trying to clamp onto. So you would just use a tool to just crank down one side at a time. So you could really cinch this thing down. So I think the U-bolt's gonna be better if you have somewhat more of a permanent installation. But once you do, it's really gonna be on there. I'm actually really loving this shot here, the rear tire shot. So hooked it off the back and just had it right here. But the lower you bring it down, the more interesting and exciting the shot looks, but it definitely presents some risk. I didn't realize exactly how low this was, and I did just stick it into the ground for a second. Luckily, it looks all right here, but there are these protective lens covers that you can just stick on. But I have noticed that you can generally see that cover on there. It's not as clear as if it was just bare naked like this. So I don't use it all the time, but times where you're putting it in like a high risk spot like this, maybe that's when I would love to have those and stick those on. Next accessory, third person bike handlebar mount. So I believe this throws the camera up here, so when you're riding, it's like the close up of your face. Tiny carbon fiber stick. This is kind of nice that it's like a double clamp, so extra security. It does say in the manual that this is for even surfaces, like road bikes. This is not an even surface. Okay, I think I see why it's supposed to be on flat roads. It's because this thing tends to bounce around quite a bit. I think this is just about being lightweight. So if you have a road bike, I think this is a solid option. If you're doing a lot of stuff off-road though, the U-bolt's probably the better option with this invisible selfie stick. Carrie's sporting the Insta360 sweater.
Gotta represent.
This might be one of my favorite accessories so far, just because no matter what you're doing, you can always find something to at least stick it onto. What really makes these Insta360 so interesting is when you're doing activities like this, you could really go hands-free once you hook it up. But this is a hand mount. So I guess this isn't completely hands-free. I'm making Carrie hold the camera, but she really has to go pee, so.
Sorry.
Have a nice pee. Oh, perfect. Frank showed up too.
Talk to me.
Carrie had to go pee, so I need a new camera person.
Yeah.
Hey, you had one of these, right? Where it's like a hand mount that
Yes.
goes onto the back of your hand?
The one that I have is exactly the same. Does this swivel? The top part?
It looks like it swivels, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it does.
Thumb
It's got
through
a
there.
slot for your thumb. What's nice about this is that you can always look back towards us. You still have full control of your fingers. You can play the piano if you wanted to, and you can look at other stuff. And of course, it's all being recorded. There is a back mount that you can just strap around. It's kind of like a belt, and that holds the stick out. But this is a backpack mount. 2 loops up here for each shoulder strap. This comes with the super thin carbon fiber stick. Kind of interesting. Does it look like a third-person video game angle? But it is just 1/4 inch down here, so you could stick your invisible selfie stick if you want. So let me go ahead and try to just extend this out. So now this is the invisible selfie stick all the way pushed out. Probably seeing my whole body actually from back there. It is pretty wieldy back here, sticking it out so far, which is probably why they give you that short stick. Of course, there is the tried and true chest mount. Now this isn't really gonna take advantage of the full 360 image, but what's nice about the X3 is that you just hit this button right here and it enters single lens mode. It turns into a pretty standard 4K action camera. Pointless to record out of this lens because it's just gonna literally be recording your shirt. I've also shown this a whole bunch of times before. This is called the 3-footed monster, and it's magnetic. You can see each leg has some springs in there to help absorb some of that shock. They have a really small one, but this one's one size up, and this was the one I would use if I plan on holding a camera out here somewhere. And these magnets, pretty strong and rubberized. Huge shout out to Insta360 for sending me all these accessories, by the way. Right now, there's a Black Friday sale going on. I'm not 100% sure of the sale details off the top of my head, so I'll put it right there on the screen. So yeah, if you like saving money, like Carrie likes saving money,
I'm always down for a deal.
so link down there in the description. And also check this thing out. little tiny, oh, so this is kind of like a tiny little invisible selfie stick, and this is a collaboration with Insta360 and PGY Tech. I'm a fan of PGY Tech. They make that little mantis pods that I use for this A7. So it doesn't really extend out that far. That is maximum. But what's nice about this is that it is very compact, even compared to the invisible selfie stick. And this has the built-in feet. Pretty handy. Just slap it on a table, wherever. And I want to accessorize this out a little bit more. So this is a quick release mount. Oh, interesting. So the bottom has a 1/4 20, or you can also have these little action cam feet come out as well. We can mount this on the bottom, perfectly shaped like the camera, so it will stay invisible, the bottom half into this action cam mount. This is actually really cool if you want to get a couple of these and switch between a couple of different mounts, maybe a vehicle, helmet, chest mount, back to here, real fast, nice. And because of the shape of it, I think it stays pretty invisible, and I can just open up my little tripod feet, throw it down right there. Now, I've done some vlogging with the Insta360 X3 a few times before, and I get asked, how do you get such good quality audio with an Insta360? So this is the secret right here. So this is the Ulanzi PT20. So we basically pinch this between the camera and the mount. This is designed for the Rode wireless goes, so that just snaps on. Got the mic adapter plugged in right here, and notice that it's all right there hidden in that stitch line. Gets nicely tucked away right there on the side. Keep in mind that the DJI mic will also work, but it is a little bit thicker, so you do see a little slither of the DJI mic in the stitch line. But the super thin design of the Rode wireless system, very nice. And what I love is that this is now recording stereo, so you can use the Go-Tos, which will send 2 microphones to this receiver. So with this little setup right here, you kind of have like a little mini interview kit. I throw one microphone on, I give another mic to somebody else, I just slap this in the middle, get multiple angles from this one camera. There is the more professional 1-inch sensor, but that is also mono audio. That's one of the things I really like about the X3 in particular, is that better stereo audio solution that's built into the camera. Like, look at this. This is clean. Now, if you plan on keeping this built up like this, you might notice that the sleeve doesn't want to perfectly fit in, but there are these rubber caps that only cover the top portion of the camera, so that might be a good solution so that you can leave it kind of built in setup and still protect the lenses.
What are you doing?
I don't know. What are you doing?
I'm testing out the Skydio.
Oh, do you have a favorite mount or accessory for the Insta360?
I think my favorite accessory is the Ultra selfie stick.
The really long one?
Yes.
And you
yes.
had the last generation one, which was skinnier, but
skinnier,
it didn't
yeah.
collapse as small, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the new version is smaller when you collapse it to the smallest form.
But it's got
and I like that.
fatter.
It's thicker, but
Yeah.
still smaller.
And it's carbon fiber. It's pretty lightweight.
Yeah, it is.
But look at all these windmills. Frank flew an FPV drone through all that. Can we see some of your footage?
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Speaking of FPV, I have flown the X3 a whole bunch, and it's very unique being able to adjust the camera angle after the flight. And if I completely turn off flow state stabilization, it can actually look really funny. Looking back at the drone, it looks like terrible graphics, or I think someone in the comments said it looks like an old Star Wars episode or something. Pretty fun stuff you can do.
My Insta360 wish list is that they make a dog mount.
With all the stuff we have, I feel like we can figure that out.
A
So
backpack mount.
maybe,
Let's put
yeah.
on Chicky.
Could use some work still, but so we're in Joshua Tree National Park right now, and I want to fly my FPV drone so bad in here, but national parks mean no drones. It's the first sign that they show you at the entrance is like, fine for flying drones. But people get really creative with this super long stick, getting drone-like shots. And it's kind of interesting because when you reframe it and you give it that wide field of view, it could actually really look like you're high up there. And you don't really have to worry about crashing. I think eventually they're gonna have signs that say, no extended selfie sticks. Right there at the front. Let's check out a couple more of your guys' comments. What I like to do with my 360 is export all the videos pointing in different directions. It's a lot of post-processing work, I know, but in the video editing, I use the footage like a multi-cam shoot. I just zoom in just enough so it doesn't look like a 360 shot. That's actually a great tip. I've been doing that a lot too, and I actually find it in the end to be easier, because if I was recording like this and we did an interview, instead of me just trying to go back and forth with keyframes, it's easier to just set one keyframe on you and one keyframe on me and export those both out, and then I just cut between two. By the way, if you're mounting the camera on a vehicle, direction lock is going to be your best friend when exporting out these videos, because that way when your vehicle turns, the camera also turns, because otherwise flow state stabilization will completely stabilize out everything the vehicle's doing, so you are going to have to track it more manually. I'm happy that this channel has grown so much, but I also miss the days where you review inexpensive stuff, like when you do the complete cinematic gear under $1,000. So I definitely want to look back into what's down there in the sub 1,000 category again, because I'm sure a lot's changed. I actually think that the sub $2,000 category right now is like really good. You know, APS-C Super 35, the R7 from Canon with 10-bit, and also the FX30 from Sony. Like those two are really good. So I want a comparison video coming soon. Let me know in the comments what you want me to talk about or test out when I'm comparing those two. Is it just annoying that my head is right there in the sun? So does it look like I have a good idea right now? Just like, I know. Thanks for the link, buddy. This video influenced me to buying one. Just ordered mine with a motorcycle kit. Can't wait to get it started using it in my videos. But yeah, the motorcycle kit's interesting. It gives you the handlebar mount as well as a couple of adhesives and like a unicorn mount looking thing where you stick it on your helmet. By the way, this is something I've been also trying out. This is called a vibration dampener. No, damper. Gives you a 1/4 inch down here and a 1/4 inch up here where you mount your camera. And at first I thought this was to help stabilize the footage, but turns out that it's actually designed more to protect the camera. So if you're gonna hard mount it onto something that's like constantly vibrating, you're gonna be able to protect your camera to just increase that longevity by not having it just like. But if it's stabilizing the camera, I mean, in some circumstances, it must help to an extent. Before, I used to hard mount a camera onto like my Triumph Bonneville, and the handlebars there just like at the perfect frequency where I would see all this gel everywhere, so I never mounted it on there. But I feel like if I put this on there, it would help with the footage. But again, this is not really designed to stabilize footage. It's for protecting the camera. It's actually something that I didn't know until Insta360 told me. By the way, I do actually think Insta360 does a pretty good job with their Instagram if you're looking to get inspired on like ways to use a 360 camera. And I like going on here and looking at how people rig stuff. You know, if you have a jetpack, maybe you could take a look at how they rig that on. And then these guys that fly around on a kite surfboard, what do you call that? That looks fun.
They highlighted that guy in the wheelchair that does like skateboarding or luging.
Yeah. Have you guys seen that? I'm sure you guys have seen that at some point.
It was viral for a little while.
Riding a longboard down a mountain on a wheelchair, that blows my mind. Like how? How do you do that? People are amazing. But anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching. We're gonna go hike Joshua Tree now and pretend to fly drones.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, today's Thanksgiving. Well, at least we're posting it. Today's the 23rd actually, so the day before. All right, we're gonna go. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.